What's for dinner? Join me next on Food for Thought. Hi, I'm Jodi Risse, the host for Food for Thought, and thanks for watching. Today I'm joined by Erin Kennedy from the Maryland State Department of Education. She's a registered dietitian, and she's responsible for many of the programs that we do right here in Anne Arundel County. She's going to talk a little bit about the at-risk dinner program and how many students we reach in Anne Arundel County and across the state. Welcome, Erin, to Food for Thought.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and your role at Maryland State Department of Education?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm a registered dietitian, as you mentioned. I also have my master's in public health, and I've been working in pediatric nutrition for over a decade now. At Maryland State Department of Education, I work in the Office of School and Community Nutrition Programs as the coordinator of select education initiatives and effectiveness. So my role varies across all of the child nutrition programs. I'm responsible for outreach, I dabble in marketing, I'm the liaison from our office to all of our partners and the wonderful partnership we have at the state level. I also do a data collection, analysis, and anything that they really need in the office.
And something that's near and dear to Anne Arundel County is just the whole local and the farm to school program.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I work with a counterpart in the Department of Ag to oversee farm to school for the state and see how we can incorporate Maryland grown and local products in all the child nutrition programs.
Yeah, so it's really, I think the hat that you wear there is just so inclusive of everything that we do, because I think everybody talks to us about, you know, the National School Lunch Program.
Right.
And it's what do we do for breakfast, what do we do for lunch? And you touch everything that encompasses that, right? I mean, it's just the whole gamut of everything.
So we really look to nourish the whole child and make sure that, yes, breakfast and lunch at school are vitally important to their academic success, but let's make sure that they have the nourishment they need after school, during the summer, maybe holidays, maybe weekends, to make sure that they are fully ready to be prepared to have academic achievement and to succeed in life.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough. I know you and I are on some committees together, and we do a breakfast challenge. There's a breakfast challenge that was going on in the state of Maryland, and I think it's always so nice to hear when you're on the conference call or when you're in the meeting, because you're grounded. You know how important nutrition is, and that connection to the curricular achievement, and just them being the whole child being a well child, right?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think my role, particularly at MSDE, allows me to combine the most idealistic nutrition goals with the reality of what we can do in food service. So I like to kind of communicate how programs operate, what is realistic for a community, for a school system, and then combine all of the nutrition goals that we want to get to that whole nourished child.
Yeah, and I would agree with you wholeheartily. I mean, we feel that and we sense that each and every time we work with you.
Great.
So thank you so much. You're a true value for us and a resource that we call upon often. So I think for viewers watching, they would know that you and I are often on the phone saying, hey, what are you doing with this and how can we enhance that?
Well, it's a pleasure on my end to work with you guys as well.
Good. Well, thank you so much. Let's delve into the at-risk dinner program. So I think for many viewers watching, they're going to say, what does dinner have to do with the school system, right? So I guess I'm going to put you on the spot here for our first part of the segment here. Just tell the viewers a little bit, what is an at-risk dinner program and who sponsors this? You know, why are schools involved in such a program?
Sure. So the at-risk after-school supper program is a relatively new program when you think about all the child nutrition programs administered through the USDA. So it started in Maryland in about 2009, and then it became available nationwide in 2010 with the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act. And what the at-risk supper program does is it combines educational and enrichment after-school programming with this nourishing, wholesome meal for the child. So after-school programs that are offering educational activities, enrichment activities, they can qualify for federal reimbursement to serve healthy suppers to the children participating in that program.
And there's some program requirements that go with that. So,
as always.
And USDA, I think just for viewers, obviously United States Department of Agriculture, but with those program requirements, and we say at risk, who are we trying to target, or which schools or which parts of the community are targeted?
So we're looking for those pockets where there's a high prevalence of low-income population. So in this program, we don't directly identify the student as being low income, but we identify where the program is located. So if the after-school program is in an area where the school population has 50% or more students eligible for free or reduced meals, then they can qualify.
So we know we're targeting that, I guess, the most needy population. And in often cases, there are students that we also see at breakfast and at lunch.
Right.
So in the state of Maryland, so in 2009 it started, like you said, and it was, I guess, introduced, right, to Maryland, and then it went national in 2010 with the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act. In Anne Arundel County, we weren't the first group out there. We were a little hesitant, and I know we'll talk about that in more detail. But you know, how receptive was it as a state? And I think being on the state staff, what do you see happening, and how are numbers changing for us from that 2010 period to today?
There's been a lot of growth in Maryland since the program's inception. In 2009, I believe we were one of 13 states in the nation that was allowed to offer this program. And as you said, there was a little bit of hesitation. It was brand new. Schools had been serving after-school snacks to this population, but they hadn't fully transitioned to supper yet. So we had some early adopters in various areas of the state, and then gradually over time, Anne Arundel came on, and all of our LEAs, all of our school systems started participating in the program. In 2009, we were serving about an average of over 3,000 children per day in supper. Last school year, we served over 24,000 students every day.
Wow.
Huge growth. That's a lot of growth. We should be very proud of our efforts, but there's a lot more we can be doing.
There's a lot more growth that we still have
Right.
there.
There's a lot more children who are still eligible for those free and reduced meals that we can be reaching.
Now, if somebody was watching today, we know we do it in schools, and I think we're going to talk about that, but somebody's watching and they're in a rec center or they're a church or a faith-based community. How do people get started, or what would you say to somebody watching? I mean, I know they can always call us in Food and Nutrition Services here in Anne Arundel County.
Right.
And my number, and I know they have, is 410-222-5900. But how would someone get started, or how do they know if they're eligible to participate?
One of the things I really love about this program is that it's not just a school-based program. Right? You can be a faith-based center. You can be a community-based center. If you are offering education and enrichment activities, which can be homework help, tutoring, chess club, computer skills, life skills, if you're doing that for the community, for your children, then you may qualify. Right? So that's one of the nice things. It really combines that education and enrichment and that nutrition, and it makes it available to the whole community, not just in the schools themselves. So if you are interested, if you think that this could possibly be something that would complement your program, because what we are finding is that programs that are offering food, offering healthy suppers, are drawing more children in. So if you think that you may qualify, you can contact your county food and nutrition service director. So whatever county you're in, you can look up the school system and the food and nutrition service director, or you can contact my office at the state. The phone number is 410-767-0199, or you can go online to eatsmartmaryland.org.
Okay, and then that way they can see, here's where I'm located, how can I move forward, right? Or how can I reach more students in the community? And what we love in Anne Arundel County, and I think we stress it over and over, is we just keep creating healthy students and healthy schools, and it really cultivates the community of wellness. And this program clearly is cultivating communities of wellness. It reaches so far into the community.
It does so much it's not just about providing healthy meals. It's really about getting kids involved in hours of the day that are typically at risk for risky behaviors. So we know that between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., children who are unsupervised, which there are a significant amount of children unsupervised during those hours, are more likely to engage in risky behaviors if they're not in a program, after-school program. So this really combines the importance of after-school programming with nutrition.
That's really, really a nice way to tie that in, because I think when they are with us, and I'm just speaking when they're in the schoolhouse, but it could be in any of the centers, we definitely know what they're doing. They're with us. And if we can further educate, further enhance their skills, like you said, I love how you talked about the life skills. What better way to really have them well-rounded and ready to succeed as adults?
Absolutely.
How do you see the programs, or what have other LEAs done to encourage and solicit some more volunteers or some community partners?
Right.
you get to see many of us in action. So are there any, and you don't have to call them out by name, but what are some successful strategies and best practices that you see?
Absolutely. I think another great thing about this program is that it's all about partnerships. It really is. From the food and nutrition service world, we're about nutrition, we're about providing healthy meals, we're about food service management, but we have to combine and partner with those after-school programmings, the people who are the experts in education, the people who are experts in child development, and that just opens the door for so many more opportunities in the future, not just through this program, but through all health and wellness activities. So definitely forming partnerships, maybe even county-level work groups where you can start to identify where could a new site be, what is an underserved area, what programming is going to draw the children. I did research a few years ago in DC actually on the program, and what we found is that we were really missing this teenage population, and these older children were not coming. So in these work groups and these partnerships, you can start to identify what programs are going to draw teens in. What do they want to know about? And what we learned in DC is they really want to learn job skills. How can they start making money? How can they be a good employee? How can they write a resume? And that would start to draw in the teenage population so that they would gain that skill as well as have the healthy meal.
Yeah, and I think it just puts, especially in food and nutrition services, it puts us in a whole different light, and we have a whole different relationship then with these partners.
Right.
I think it has enhanced our service here in Anne Arundel County because we have great partners that we can have as our voice of what we do all day and then how we enrich their program after hours on Saturdays or on holidays.
Absolutely.
So it really has, and I think it gives everybody a better understanding of the reach that we have as a school system, and with our close to 80,000 students, just how many do we reach, and how more can we service the schools, the communities, or the community partners that are out there. So it really has. It's worked very well for us. We talked a little bit before the show. We have one of our partnerships is with the Anne Arundel County Department of Recreation and Parks, and they often say, it seems too good to be true.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
Right, so they get the benefit. They have the enrichment activities. Like you said, they're the experts in that field, and we get to provide, healthy snacks or healthy meals, that healthy dinner meal, to really keep it enriched, keep it robust, and keep it where they're fueled and ready to learn and have that activity at the end of the day.
Right, and you mentioned a good point there. They were almost surprised that you were able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because this program is so new, awareness we find to be one of our biggest barriers. A lot of times these programs exist. They're being run by maybe the school, maybe a volunteer group, and they don't know that they have a food program out there that might be complementing their enrichment program. So we, at the state level, work to kind of increase awareness and make those connections between programming and the food and nutrition services.
And it's something that I think we struggle with here too.
Mm-hmm.
I think as we are connecting those dots and as we have that communication with our key partners in the community, it really is blossoming, and it's enhancing our program more. But it takes time.
It takes time and a lot of legwork.
Right. It doesn't. I think I was a little bit, I'm not going to say I was a naysayer, but I think originally I'm like, are we really going to do dinner too? Mm-hmm. And now I can't think of how else can I reach out to find another partner, and how can we best communicate it, which I think today's show is a perfect example for all of those watching, that we're here, we have something for you that is a great service and a great enhancement to the program that you already have. And it really just enriches our youth more than we could ever imagine.
It's amazing when you go into these sites and you see what's going on. It's not just the children getting the meals, sitting down and eating. They're learning table manners. They're discussing their day across the table with their peers. They're sharing their experiences together. You see older children helping younger children. Some centers will do a family-style kind of service, and this might be the only opportunity that this child has to sit at a table and talk about his day with someone over a healthy meal. So those type of experiences they enrich the whole program, the enrichment program, the education program, the food program. It's letting a child sit down and relax and enjoy his meal with the company of his peers.
Yeah, I think that's so key, and I want to touch base on that as soon as we come back from the break, because it's something that as registered dietitians we talk about all the time.
Yep.
Don't go away. We're going to be right back with Erin Kennedy from the Maryland State Department of Education.
Did you know that your local public library offers free early literacy programs, specially designed for your baby, toddler, or preschoolers' growing needs in mind? Programs are offered at all Anne Arundel County Public Library branches every week year-round. We're committed to preparing children for school and for life. Visit www.aacpl.net for details.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Porter. And the Arundel County Public Schools Department of Transportation is raising the level of awareness for the safety of your children as we transport them to and from school. When a school bus stops to load students, as a driver, this is what you will see. At 150 feet, the bus will activate hazard lights. At 100 feet, the bus driver will activate the amber lights. They will start slowing down. At 10 feet before the bus stops, they will turn on the red bus lights. Their stop sign will come out, and students will begin to load. Once all students are on board safely, the bus driver will turn off red lights and move forward. At this time, it is safe for the motorist to resume movement.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned to Food for Thought. Erin Kennedy is joining me today from the Maryland State Department of Education. Erin, our first segment, we talked so much about the at-risk dinner program, and right before we broke, we talked about the family dinners. And I think it's something as registered dietitians, and I think as moms, I would love to talk about this to the viewers. And I know it's a little bit of a sidebar, but it's so important to eat with our children. And to have a family dinner. And I think something that I do, and I would really encourage anybody watching, when we come home and we have, and sometimes it's a quick meal because we all have things that we run to, right? There's after school events, there's sporting events, there's dance, there's music, there's so many things that we're involved in. But I think it's so important to sit down and hear what our kids say about their school day.
Absolutely.
Priceless.
When people ask me, why did you become a dietitian? It's funny, I actually say to them, well, as a child growing up, it was vitally important to my parents that we sat down and had family dinner every night. And there was no TV, and their phones were turned off, and we did it every night. But I noticed in my generation, I had a lot of friends who were coming from divorced families and who were not eating with their parents, and they were eating in front of the TV. And so I would ask my parents, why are we doing this? And my parents say, because we are, right? But then as I got older, I started realizing how important that was. And that was really my interest in becoming a dietitian, was more of this food anthropology and the customs around eating, not necessarily just the food itself. We know that nutrition is more than just the nutrients you're taking in. We use food to celebrate, we use food to grieve, we use food to show love. So we need to incorporate all of these aspects into these nutrition programs.
Yeah, and I think hearing the stories around a dinner table are often priceless. I learn more, I think, sometimes around the dinner table of what really happened that day, or if they're sad, if they're happy, if they feel if they're worried about an upcoming test. A lot of it comes out at dinner, and we're able to talk about it. And I think the most important thing, and we have it part of our Wellness Council is very robust in Anne Arundel County. One of our underlying goals and objectives every single year is that we'll be good role models. Absolutely. So everybody, if you are the teacher, the principal, the custodian, our food service, great staff that we have out there, and I feel the same at home. I think moms and dads or grandparents, whomever the caregiver is, what better way to be a role model at dinner and have your fruits and vegetables, fill half of your plate with fruits and vegetables, and really try all the things that are on the table.
Absolutely. And with this program in particular, we see that when children come down and they eat the supper together, their peers will be the one that encourages them to try the new food, right? Their peers say, well, try this piece of broccoli, it's really good. Whereas if you have an adult coming in and saying, eat that broccoli, it's healthy for you, it's not as meaningful as from when your peer is saying to you, no, I tried it, it's okay. It's okay, it's gonna make you feel good, it's gonna taste good, and if you don't like it, it's okay, we can try a new food tomorrow.
Right. And then we could maybe even try the broccoli again another time, which we do a lot of, right? We introduce it once. When we introduced Brussels sprouts, they didn't go that well. They're really starting to go very well in our county. So I just love exactly how you've put it. I mean, we just make such a difference for those students, and how much more we can broaden their horizons around food and the importance of food and that sharing that happens during our dinner program.
Absolutely.
So it's very key. Let's talk about the partnerships in, I think, Anne Arundel County. Okay. So and we talked about it already, that when this program was first presented, I was a little bit hesitant. I was the supervisor at the time, and I've been here for over 20 years. I just didn't know how dinner fits. How do we do an at-risk dinner program? I understand the need and the locations in that area eligibility, but how do we do it? How do we find staff? How do we train staff? How do we make sure that schools have enrichment activities, be it, like you said, chess clubs, homework help, arts and crafts, learning French, whatever it would be. And it was, us opening our doors and being transparent in who we are and what we can provide and reaching out to those partners. So, I would really encourage anybody watching today to call me. If you're in Anne Arundel County and you think you have a group of students, or you have the group of students after school, call me so we can work something out. And I think it's that trust that we build together. And obviously, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to say, how can we reach this population, or how can we work with faith-based community?
Right.
Are there others for some, and we do it very little in Anne Arundel County, but and I guess I'm going to share our numbers first, because we started obviously with 0. The first year we did about 24,000. We jumped to 43,000, and then we jumped again to about a 69,000. This year we are far going to exceed that. I mean, I really think we're going to be 80s, 90s, 100,000 meals. So it's unbelievable, but it takes time. How can we do a better job at reaching that faith-based, or how could we deliver so somebody that's in a location other than the school? Because I keep looking at, I have these students in school, but I would love to open the doors and go to faith-based locations, to the rec and park locations, which we do very successful, but they're usually housed with us.
Right. I think, again, going back to that partnership and forming that partnership, and just, as you said, being open and transparent and willing to share the program details with people, because you never know who's going to know the person, right? You never know, is it going to be a parent of a child at a park and rec who knows of a faith-based organization that might benefit from this? And I think just having that dialogue frequently and openly is key to make sure that message gets out there. And then actively seek partners out. Find out, maybe using your local management boards. You can go to various nonprofit organizations that we work with both at the state level and come down to the local level, and they can help you identify maybe some of those, they're not school-based sites, the community-based sites. You can work with YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, any kind of youth centers, and reach out to the faith community as they might know it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's some key groups that we're not necessarily reaching. I think we do things in the summer with a lot of the local agencies, like you said, but not necessarily an at-risk dinner or at the dinner meal or the after-school supper program. So I think we need to do a better job here in Anne Arundel County, and I'm hoping the show today and people watching will say, I'm calling Miss Risse up, and I really would encourage that so we can really set.
And I would think the other thing to mention is that with the budget cuts and everything that goes on all the time, sometimes after-school programming has been cut. So we can't serve a supper if there's no programming. So if anyone's listening and they think, well, you know what, I have the skills to do an after-school programming, you can start forming your own little coalition of people. You may be able to form a program, and once you get more people involved, you can find funding and then reach out to Food Nutrition Services.
Right, so then we can partner, because we have the avenue for the food and just the healthy options. People often ask, well, what would be at dinner? And I still, as a registered dietitian and as a mom of 2 girls here in Anne Arundel County, I do the breakfast menus, I do the lunch menus, and I do now the dinner menu.
Right.
And we know in some cases we have our students breakfast, lunch, dinner. We have them Saturday because they're in some enrichment activities in our schools at breakfast and lunch. So we really look for that dinner menu to be different, not something that they typically see at lunch. We've tried some things and they weren't overly successful, but we just keep going back to the drawing board. We've looked at meatloaf, and we do different Asian lines, so different things that go with rice, and we added a cilantro lime rice this year. So we keep trying some different things because we know we have them, and we want to have our students that are enrolled in our programs experience as many different food varieties and options that they can while they're with us, so they can go home and talk about it.
Right, and I had the pleasure of visiting one of your supper sites, and it was hot, and it was lasagna, and it was delicious. It was so delicious.
And do you remember that was at that site, the cafeteria was full.
It was completely full.
So I believe at that school, and still to date, we probably serve about 300 or 350 dinners at night. And it was lasagna, they had garlic bread, they had salad.
Side salad.
And then we had some fruit. Obviously, we always have our fresh fruit. And then I think there was a hot vegetable. I don't remember that day. I think it was broccoli.
Right. It was great. And the kids were so eager to share their experiences with me. As I sat down with my meal, and they were eating their meals, and they were talking about the music lessons that they were doing, and the theater clubs that they were doing, and drama, and the writing. And it was such an experience.
It was, and I think I remember the students because a lot of them were in there with writing classes and doing, I don't even know. I mean, some of it was, I thought, quite elaborate for middle school students. But I'm glad you talked about hot, too, because somebody watching might say, well, what are the meals? And we're talking a little bit about hot meals. So we always provide them protein, right? So, and we do a 2-ounce protein. They always get 2 grain options. All of our grains in Anne Arundel County are whole grain. So everything that we provide, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and on Saturday is the whole grain component. We do our fresh fruits and vegetables, and they have a choice of milk. Now, we have some sites that are real small.
Right.
So we might work with Park and Recreation. There's only 25 students. We do cold meals. And is that something that you're seeing around the state? So there's not a lot of students, but we know we can reach them with a really healthy, we do a lot of wraps, we do different sandwiches, we do entree salads with protein on it. Do a lot of schools do the cold as well like we do?
Absolutely, absolutely. It varies. I think logistically speaking, the cold meals may be easier to manage for smaller sites, but whether you're doing a cold meal or a hot meal, I think the key is really getting that feedback on meal quality. First of all, the kids are going to tell you what they like. They're very vocal about that. So you'll start serving things that they're more likely to eat. And the other aspect is the child feels invested. When you start assessing their interests and their taste, it becomes their program again. And so they realize it's not something that somebody's giving them, it's something that they're part of the process. And that investment is really key for them to be engaged with the program, to eat the healthy meal, and then to share it with their friends and say, hey, you know, come to this program and get more kids involved.
And I like the fact that they're going to go home if they're excited about when they're eating it with us. I think they're going to go home and talk about it as well.
Absolutely. We sometimes have parents call our office and say, what is this? What is quinoa? What is this? What is, you know, they're asking, you know, where do my kids eat this? And we said, oh, well, some of our sponsors will serve it at this program or at this program.
Right. Now, we only have a few minutes left. So let's talk about, there was a recent press release, and there's a proposed rule that's going to come out for the at-risk dinner program.
Right.
I think it fits perfectly with, as registered dietitians, how we look at our meal and our meal components and what we offer. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So it's definitely a proposed rule right now. It hasn't gone into effect yet. And the government is seeking feedback for comments at this period. It is going to mirror somewhat like the National School Lunch Standards. So we're increasing the variety of healthy foods that children are exposed to. Right? So we want to make sure that they're not just always eating green vegetables, that they're eating green and orange and red vegetables, right? That they understand the different colors provide different benefits to their health. Right? To make sure that they have whole grains. So yes, it's okay to have the refined grains occasionally, but let's really strive for the whole grains and the low-fat milk. And so we're opening up the variety of food and increasing the nutritional content of the foods.
And I love that it corresponds directly with the programs that we already offer. So right now, and I guess like you said, it is proposed, but I support it fully. As a registered dietitian, as the mom, as the supervisor here, I think it aligns perfectly with what we're already doing. So I don't even see it as, if it becomes law, and I don't think it's going to be different than what we do currently.
And it's more exposure for the child to that item, so it's going to increase the likelihood that they're going to eat that healthy item at breakfast, at lunch, and then again at supper.
Yeah, and then I loved the throw-in that we could do our Saturday and then holidays.
Right.
I don't know how many counties or how many states participate in holiday meals, but we do in Anne Arundel County. So we have had a school for the past 2 years that has provided meals at the holiday, and it was over the Christmas holiday or our winter break. So I think it's just instrumental to show the reach that this program can provide outside of the traditional school day.
It makes it like the school is here for the community. Schools are community wellness centers, really, and they're here to help the community, help the children grow and develop and support the overall good for the entire town.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I believe we're the hub of all of that.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much,
you.
Erin, for coming in today. I think your wealth of knowledge is priceless, and I really enjoy working with you and loving having you as a resource here in Anne Arundel County.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
As you can see, the Maryland State Department of Education is key in our resource and our progress in the at-risk dinner program. In Anne Arundel County, we currently have it in 29 schools, and we're looking to increase that amount. We would love to work with outside partners, faith-based community. If you're out there and you have students with enrichment activities, please contact me at 410-222-5900. We would love to add you to the at-risk dinner program. If you have any questions about the school breakfast or school lunch program, please call me as well. I always look for new suggestions or comments, anything that you would like to share that I can enhance our program. Keep watching Food for Thought and join in the next time.